PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. And on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, where we break down every single game of the 2024-2025 season for your Vegas Golden Knights, we're going to be talking about the matchup they just had in the last game on their road stand as the Vegas Golden Knights took on the Florida Panthers, who are your reigning Stanley Cup champions. And very interesting matchup. There is some positives we're going to go over. We have a couple of negatives that we are going to have to talk about. However, overall, they did end up getting 1 point on this road trip. So out of 6 points, you end up getting one. Hey, it's you take what you can get. Now, before I break down this game itself, I do want to mention this and put a disclaimer out here for all the people that are going to be watching every single show that we do. I want to mention that for this episode, the game against the LA Kings on when we record that on Wednesday, and then the one for Ottawa on Saturday, here on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, we're going to be wearing this pink shirt right here because of it being October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and due to Hockey Fights Cancer, we are in support of that. So I just wanted to quickly announce that for the next 3 episodes we are going to have of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, we're going to be wearing this pink shirt right here just to show support. Want to bring awareness to Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So getting into the game itself between Florida and Vegas, I did mention this kind of briefly in the intro, but yes, indeed, this is the last game of their 3-game road trip, going out there and taking on the Washington Capitals, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Florida Panthers. So for Vegas, you're going to be back at home on Tuesday, the LA Kings. So after spending essentially a week on the road, you're now going to go back home. So that's going to be very impactful for your Vegas Golden Knights. And this road trip that the Vegas Golden Knights had, it did not go as great as some people were hoping for. You lose to Washington in a very unfortunate game. Logan Thompson, your former goaltender, beats you in Washington to start out your first game on the road. Then you go to Tampa Bay. You're leading the game until about 5 minutes left, and then you let it slip away, and Tampa Bay wins the game 4-3 with 57 seconds left in the game. And then this game, we're going to talk about another situation where the Vegas Golden Knights had some positives, but an unfortunate ending in overtime. But we'll cover all of that here on the show. Now, there is no roster changes, but more importantly, there was really no lineup changes compared to their lineup against Florida and the lineup for this game. There is really no big significant change at all for your Vegas Golden Knights. So let's just go over the forward lines very quickly here on the show. Forward line 1, Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Mark Stone. One of the best lines in hockey up to this point in the first 5 games. Line 2, Tanner Pearson, Pavel Dorofeyev, and Tomas Hertl in the middle. And forward line 3, you have Alexander Holtz, Brendan Bryson, and Cole Schwind. And forward line 4, you have Brett Howden, Keane Kolazar, and Nicholas Waugh. Now, that fourth line is going to be very impactful in this game and it's going to be relevant later on. But yeah, that's your forward lines in this game for the Vegas Golden Knights. Defensive pairings have been the exact same for the first 6 games. You have Pietrangelo and Theodore. You have Hanifin and Haig, and then McNabb and Whitecloud. Korzak and Hutton still as a healthy scratch on the bench for your Vegas Golden Knights. And then in net for Vegas, and this is going to be his second start of the season, Ilya Samsonov. So he won his opening game. He was actually in net and won his debut. So that was good for him. And this second game, we're going to be talking about how great of a performance he did later on. But we're going to talk about all of that in just a second. So that is your forward lines, that's your defensive pairings, and then your goaltender in net for this game out there in Florida. And to kick off this game, I like the energy we saw from Vegas. The tempo was up in that first period. It seemed like there was no jet lag like it was against Washington. It felt like there was no, you had to kind of ease into the speed as it was, in a few of these games they've had on the road in the past. The last few seasons we've seen that like on the road, it takes a while for them to kind of get warmed up. Where in this game, not so much. The tempo was pretty solid for Vegas in the first period. And then at the end of the first period, Tanner Pearson with his first goal as a Vegas Golden Knight and assisted by Nicholas Waugh. And I do want to mention this. Nicholas Waugh had a 2-assist night here for your Vegas Golden Knights. And for someone who is back on the fourth line now with Kolizar and with Howden, for him to have a 2-assist game really shows you the production value that Nicholas Waugh has brought to the Golden Knights. I mean, this is someone who has kind of been underrated on the Vegas Golden Knights organization for the last couple of years. I mean, this past season, we made a video talking about who is the most underrated player on the Vegas Golden Knights. And he was second on that list of Golden Knights members who were underrated this past year. So Nicholas Waugh, 2-assist game for Vegas. And that second goal that happened with Keegan Kolizar about 14 minutes into the second period, he was on the assist on that game as well. And we do not have this as a graphic, but I also do want to say Tanner Pearson, 1 goal and 1 assist in this game. He had an assist on the Keegan Kolizar goal. So for Tanner Pearson, 2-assist night. For a 2-point night. Nicholas Waugh, 2-point night. So overall, when it comes to Vegas Golden Knights, we have seen some different faces having multi-point game in this scenario against Florida. So in the second period, the Vegas Golden Knights unfortunately would be tied up as Sam Reinhart would score his 5th goal of the season for Florida, assisted by Aaron Ekblad. And you know what? Goals are going to happen. I really don't see anything to blame here or say there's any responsibility that has to happen there. Look, a goal is a goal. Reinhart got it past Samsonov. It was tied at 1-1. And then after Keegan Kolizar scored that second goal of the game, well, the Vegas Golden Knights would have their first power play opportunity as AJ Greer would get a hooking penalty. He would go to the box for Florida. And Vegas did not execute on the power play. Now, it was not for a lack of trying, as I do have to give credit here. There was a shot from Noah Hannafin that just did not connect. It just went wide. I think that when it comes to Sergei Bobrovsky, who I'm going to give props to later in the show, maybe that should have been a goal if it would have actually connected. It had a little bit more proper distance. But yeah, Noah Hannafin on that power play opportunity, there was a power play shot that just went wide. So Vegas went 0 for 1 on the power play, and the discipline by Florida, being the reigning defending Stanley Cup champions, they did not have another penalty in this game. So Vegas was only 0 for 1 on the power play, the only opportunity they had in this matchup. But later on, unfortunately, Vegas would give away a situation. As about 2 minutes left in the second period, Nicholas Waugh would get a penalty, and he would go to the penalty box. He would have to serve 2 minutes for the Vegas Golden Knights. So the Florida Panthers would be on the power play, and unfortunately, it would connect for Florida. So Florida, with about 40 seconds left in the second period, Carter Verhaeghe would connect to Sam Bennett for his 4th goal of the season. And just like that, first power play opportunity, and it connects for Florida. So at the end of the second period, it would be a 2-2 game for your Vegas Golden Knights. And you know what? As much as I like the tempo and the energy, and I think Ilya Samsonov was doing a really good job in this game, defensively, man, the team stats is also going to kind of back this up as well. But the Vegas Golden Knights had 27 giveaways. And by the way, that's not a typo. 27 giveaways for the Vegas Golden Knights. To say that turnovers could be a problem would be a massive understatement. To have that many amount of giveaways, it just really shows that they have a lot of sloppy play in the neutral zone. And when you have sloppy play in the neutral zone, that creates 2-on-1s. That creates 3-on-2s. That turns into a breakaway going down the other end. And now you're back on defense. You're trying to catch up. So for Vegas, I kind of sit there and look at it and go, you know what? This is a Vegas Golden Knights team that really needs to focus on limiting the turnovers and everything going on there. Now, getting into the third period for your Vegas Golden Knights, they would have their second and final penalty of the game, as there would be a delay of game penalty as the puck would be shot over the glass, and Braden McNabb would have to make his way over to the penalty box to serve on that Vegas delay of game. And Vegas, thankfully, did not give up a goal here. So 1 for 2 on the penalty kill for your Vegas Golden Knights. And the Vegas Golden Knights, about halfway into the third period, your fourth line would step up and they would score their second goal of the game on the fourth line as Brett Howden, who has had an excellent start to the year, his third goal of the season for your Vegas Golden Knights. Brett Howden, a lot of people were kind of wondering what his role would be. Like, how would he fit in the Vegas Golden Knights organization for this season? Well, this fourth line has done exceptionally well. Kolazar scored a goal. Nick Waugh had a 2-assist night. Brett Howden scored a goal of his own. So for the fourth line, you have to give them props there. They did an exceptional job tonight. First line had no points. The second line did have 1 goal, but the third line did not have any. So it was pretty much the second and fourth line that showed up in this game for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then the Florida Panthers, about 8 minutes left in the third period, Aaron Ekblad and Sam Reinhart would help them get on the board. It would be a 3-3 game for Florida. And Sam Reinhart, by the way, 11 points on the year, 5 of them goals, 6 of them being assists for Sam Reinhart up to that point. And your Vegas Golden Knights being tied at 3, they would go into overtime out there in Florida. And, this overtime, it looked like it was going to kind of come to an end. It was going to be, 5 minutes. It was going to, everything was going on there. But something unfortunate would happen to your Vegas Golden Knights as Gustav Forsling would get a clutch overtime goal for Florida. It would be Sam Bennett connecting to Sam Reinhart over to Gustav Forsling. And just like that, in overtime at the 4-minute mark, Florida would pick up the victory at their home base in front of their home crowd, and they would end up winning this game 4-3. And your Vegas Golden Knights, unfortunately, have an overtime loss, the first overtime loss of the season for your Vegas Golden Knights. One player that I am not going to bash here, in fact, I'm going to give them a bunch of compliments, is Ilya Samsonov. Ilya Samsonov, 45 saves on the night. He did everything he had to. The fact that he faced 49 shots on net really shows you that he had a lot of discipline. He was calm. And more importantly, he was on the ice for around 65 minutes as a goaltender. And him having 45 saves on 49 shots, he did a really good performance for your Vegas Golden Knights. So I'm going to give a bunch of credit here to Ilya Samsonov. He has done an amazing job so far as a Vegas Golden Knights goaltender. And when you compare his 2 starts on the year to Adin Hill's 4 starts on the year, is it reasonable to ask a question? Samsonov allowed only 1 goal against Anaheim and was a stellar performer. And then against the Florida Panthers, even though it was a 4-3 loss in overtime, he had to record 45 saves on net. Compare that to Adin Hill. Adin Hill's had to give up in 4 starts so far, 4 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals, and 4 goals. So I don't know if there's going to be a competition. We do not know if there's ever going to be that controversy in net. But so far, in the first 4 games, Adin Hill hasn't looked as great as what Ilya Samsonov has done in the first 2 games. Now, there's going to be some people who are going to be critiquing me on that. I know there's one person that loves Aiden Hill. I understand that. But bias aside, I'm going to look at this objectively and say that Ilya Samsonov in the first 2 games has done a really impressive job as the backup in Vegas. And what I'm going to point out, and here's what my statement is it still too soon to have a conversation about a goaltender battle? Yes. Now, if this is by December, okay, if by January, Samsonov is having a credible performance, great performance, good outing, if Ilya Samsonov is putting up some really good numbers and Aiden Hill is still letting up 3 or 4 goals a night, you're going to have to ask yourself by that point, does the conversation arise? Because Ilya Samsonov did a really good job tonight. I have to give him praise there. But once again, sloppy turnovers in the neutral zone. That's just been a problem the Vegas Golden Knights have had. We saw it in the first period. We saw it in the second period. We definitely saw it in overtime that the Vegas Golden Knights, just think about how many giveaways the Vegas Golden Knights had in this game. I said the number earlier in the show. I will say it again. The Vegas Golden Knights had 27 giveaways. But Ian, they had 28 block shots. Okay, block shots are good and dandy, but you had 27 giveaways. And I kind of sit there and wonder when it comes to the Vegas Golden Knights, what kind of statement does that tell you? You had 26 shots on net. Sergei Bobrovsky stopped 23 of them. I will give credit to Bob, by the way. He did a good job. The Vegas Golden Knights out-hit Florida in this matchup, 25-17. So you out-hit them. All right, you had almost double less the shots that Florida had. In the faceoff circle, you won nearly 57% of your faceoffs. So that wasn't the problem there. Faceoffs, you did well. You could take some responsibility and poke at the power play going 0 for 1, but that really is more of a testament to how good Florida is at being disciplined and not having that many penalties. So, you did good on the block shots, but still the giveaways to me is the issue. The lack of consistency in terms of puck possession, that is what my issue is with the Vegas Golden Knights. And this kind of leads into my next point. This is the second game in a row where the Vegas Golden Knights blew a lead late in the game. The Vegas Golden Knights were up 3-2 against Tampa Bay with 5 minutes left, and they lost 4-3. What happened in this game? The Vegas Golden Knights were up 3-2 halfway in the third period. Florida ties it up, and then they win in overtime. So we know what happened in the second half of last year. There was a stretch where the Vegas Golden Knights blew 11 leads in a span of the last 2 months. That is actually what ended up hurting the Vegas Golden Knights come seeding time, because they just kept blowing so many leads in the second half of the year. So if you're the Vegas Golden Knights, this isn't going to be a red flag. We're not going to go into DEFCON 1, but this is a Vegas Golden Knights where last year you blew a considerable amount of leads in the second half of the year last year. And now 6 games in, you've already blown 2 leads, and they happened to be back-to-back on the final 2 games of the road trip. So for your Vegas Golden Knights, that is a concern you do have to mention. Now, for your Golden Knights, 3 wins, 2 losses, 1 overtime loss. You have the LA Kings on Tuesday. We're going to record that show on Wednesday morning here on PR Connections Radio. And then on Friday, the Ottawa Senators will be here at T-Mobile Arena. Now, Vegas Hockey Hub, we are going to be there for both games. We're going to record footage and everything like that. We're going to do media there. And then we're going to record that show Saturday morning. I will find a way to be in the studio. I will be here. I will record that show on Saturday morning here on PR Connections Radio. And by the way, this isn't Vegas Hockey Hub recap, but I do want to quickly mention it. The Vegas Golden Knights, we have so much content we're going to be putting out. We're going to be putting out content at 8 a.m. For on Monday, for Tuesday. So pretty much every show that we do that's not Vegas Hockey Hub recap, go to it at 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, and we're going to have all those shows uploaded and content for you. And then finally, as we're getting out of here, your player of the game is Brett Howden. Brett Howden has done an exceptional job this year. This is his second time being player of the game. I mean, he had 3 shots, he had 3 block shots, and when it came to a guy like Brett Howden, he did a solid job in the faceoff circle, 100% win rate. So, Brett Howden, your player of the game against Florida. And until next time, I'm your host, Ian Rachiele. This is Vegas Hockey Hub Recap. And go, Knights, go.